JD here, Lewis, and as you can see, we are back for part 7 of my career mode here today, and we're at Montreal, which is a track that is not particularly a track I enjoy that much. It's definitely not one of my favourites, but the pace throughout the games where I've been playing this throughout the last 4 or 5 years in these games, it seems to be pretty good around here, so I'm hoping for a relatively good result because it's not really that dependent on the aero too much, so hopefully our engine is good enough to stay with maybe some of the top teams if we can get this slipstream. But after the result we had last time, a podium at Monaco, I'm not expecting to beat that this time unless there's rain, which there actually is for the race, which I didn't know until I actually got into the race. So, but this is my fastest qualifying lap, a pretty decent lap. One cut a couple of corners ago, but we'll let that slide. But yeah, in terms of actually upgrading the car, I've been taking some people's advice in the comments where I'm going to probably upgrade the 5 diagonal efficiency parts of the R&D first, and then do 2 quality control, because then in the long run it'll be a lot easier to upgrade the car. So it pretty much still is a stock Sauber at this point. I've been doing the practice programs, so I did the track climatization, and I did the qualifying run and the tyre wear as well. So I did 3 of those in this practice, and I've actually gone back to my faster components, my power units, which we should be able to see in a second or so time. But you can see P11, so that was a pretty good lap there. And my new rival is Kevin Magnussen, as we've been promoted to first driver. I think that was even before Monaco. So we're exceeding expectations at the moment, and I have to say I am really enjoying this series. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this as well. And you can see my R&D tree looking a little bit scarce at the moment. We've done some, but I'm going to take your advice and just try and do the top 5. So you can see here in the top 5 left ones, I think that's the efficiency. I'm going to try and upgrade all those first before I move on to the big components down the bottom, because as you said, it will make it a lot easier in the long run as well. So it's the powertrain. I think we do have the capacity to do that now, but I think we're going to upgrade something on the aero towards the end of this. But with the power units, gone back to my faster ones. So I used the weaker ones in practice and then switched them over to my second ones, because around here the engine is going to be pretty important. So I thought for this track it's a must that we have as maximum engine performance as possible for this race. But you can see here I only done one. I think we're going to develop this one here. So it's the confirmed development, which we've done. So that's the quality control. So I'm going to do 2 of those and then 5 of those on the left. And as you can see, gone back to our newest power units for each aspect, because at Monaco engine power wasn't really an issue, but around here, and we've actually changed our gearbox as well, because we've done 6 races on the 1 gearbox. So wear doesn't seem to be too bad around here considering my driving style. But we've got 5 lights now, and away we go. And you can see it's a wet race here, which suits us perfectly. We've been able to see how much performance we can actually do in the wet. So I was hoping for an equally another good result, but I've never done the wet round here until this right here now. So this is all new to me. Using a decent setup, I think I'm using 4-5 wing just for a little bit more stability, but also straight on speed. We've already made it 1 position and another one going around the outside, so we managed to navigate Massa, and I'm not sure who else that was, but now we've got Ocon in front of us in P9, and we're going to try and respect the AI as usual, using 70 diff, because I found recently 70 diff just gives me a lot better launch off corners. 50 should be a lot easier to control when you're losing the car throughout the corner, but I find personally I'm actually starting to much prefer the 70 diff, which I might make a complete video on perhaps, because even for online as well. But it's working really well in this so far, and now you can see the leaders. We haven't seen, we almost hit the back of Ocon there, so we're having to just duck out about at the last minute. You can see really insane traction we get off here. So look at this traction we get. I don't know if that's just a really poor corner for the AI, but we just get an insane traction of that, and that was the case for the rest of this race. From what I remember, it was really, really good out there. So clipping these 2 curbs, try and respect the track limits around here as well, because it's quite a lot of questions around this track, as if this track is even going to be used in AOR, our league race, because of the track limits and how much it can cut. But in this race, we're going to try and respect that, as Verstappen has actually gone wide, so he's had a little bit of contact with Bottas, we go around the outside of him. We've made up into P7 now, so 4 positions we've made on lap 1 in the wet conditions. So it's a really, really good start to this race, and now we're behind the Mercedes, and we should be able to gauge how fast we really are now compared to the top guys. If we're going purple, which we would do on lap 2 anyway, but this is going to be really important to see for the rest of this lap. This will gauge us on what kind of performance we have in the wet, because most of this track is on the straight, but traction for the straight is seriously important. So navigating these corners, not cutting them, so respecting the limits of the track. And now, before getting to the straight, you can see tyre wear is not really an issue around here, so if it is a full wet race, then we could easily make it to the end without making a pit stop. So let's see the traction here, getting a really good launch. You can see the traction is pretty good off there. I was really surprised by that. And the straight line speed, be able to compare it to Mercedes using that 4.5 wing, which I believe you are using. We're not losing that much down the straight either, so if we can navigate the corners well, then it's looking like we could possibly fight for a really high position once again. A podium may be out of the question, but we never know. See what the lap time is. We're not that much slower than Kimi Raikkonen. He just set the fastest lap of the race, and looks like there's a little bit of a train up ahead of us as well. So if we could get amongst that, then we could maybe do some damage towards the end of this race. But now, getting on the traction and throttle, and let's see, going through here, the grip seems pretty good around here. Using that 70 diff, getting a really good launch of the corner, manage to navigate the car flat out through here, making super tight to the corner, going down the inside. He's left the door open, and that's us into 6th place, just about ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And now we're behind Daniel Ricciardo, and we'll just go look at a little bit of a replay of that again. And I really do enjoy the wet conditions in this game. I just feel you can really feel the car, every aspect of the car. Even me being on a controller, I feel it's probably the best game it's ever been on the controller in terms of definitely wet conditions, because you can just feel every bump, every vibration. It makes it so nice to feel the car all the time, so you exactly know when to push, when to brake on the traction. So let's see if we could get equally as good exit of this again. So using that lean mix, which I always recommend in wet conditions, lean mix and rich on the straight, it avoids that wheel spin. Now using a maximum engine performance, you can see the straight line speed again. It looks like the Red Bull must be using a really high error, and we're going to go down the inside of him. So engine, maybe the others haven't really changed their power units for this race, but maybe because we've got a lot fresher engine potentially than the guys ahead of us, and we've gone into, I believe that's actually 5th place now, if I believe. I think so anyway, I think it is 5th place, so that's a nice move. Going for the World Champions, which we have not hit yet, and that's us into 4th place actually, so a podium is not out of the question here, and I think we're going to stay on board for the rest of this lap. And I'll try and talk through this lap as well, because I think this is our fastest lap in the wet that we do. So going through here now, just after the 100 metre board, that's when we'll be braking. Slow in, fast out for this one. So as I always say for some corners, a slingshot for this, completely flat out, but turning in very early just to make sure we get the grip through here. 4th gear, late apex, don't go down to 3rd because it really will give you a lot of wheel spin. Going up through the gears now, lean and then rich onto the straight, and for this one we'll be braking just before the Fly Emirates sign. Just before that, as you can see, slow in, fast out, sacrifice the entry to get a better exit, which we managed to do really nicely. And again, rich mix on the straight. And now going into this now, we'll be braking as the car straight. That's when you want to be braking. It doesn't really matter, you don't really need to hit a early apex for this one, but it's really important the exit. I think it's even better going in deep, because then you get the power earlier and you've got a longer, you theoretically give yourself a longer straight for the traction. So rich mix here, really important. The 100 metre board, just before that, that's when we'll be braking. Clip as much of that curb as possible, and this one, don't go into the World Champions, stay to the right hand side if you want to get a shorter run to the line. And we've done a 23.4, which is the fastest lap of this race at the moment, so we've got the pace to potentially fight for a podium once again. And you can see we're starting to close in on the leaders, but the track has now started to dry, and I think it's going to be dry tyres, because on this game online, I don't know if it's changed in the patch or something, but usually it used to take you a long time to get on dry tyres, but now it's within a lap pretty much you can go on the dry tyres once again. So I think we'll go pit this lap going to, as Vettel has to carry on because Raikkonen, his teammates, ahead of him. So he's going to have to carry on, and that means we could potentially get a massive undercut on him, which could really help us out because in dry conditions, I don't feel we're going to be able to compete with the top guys because of just the chassis and the air, or the chassis and the power unit. It's just too weak in comparison to them. So I don't think we're going to be able to compete, which is a shame because I really wanted it to stay wet. For this race, we can see it's still pretty greasy on the track at the moment as we come out just ahead of Verstappen, which is pretty crucial. We got held up behind him, but he's actually on the intermediates still as well. So we'll be able to see, Ocon ahead of us stayed out in the intermediates. Guessing his teammate must have pitted Perez. And you can see how much more grip we got on him. So we'll just go down the inside. It should be a relatively easy move down the inside there. No real competition. And Perez's teammate is still smashing it in this race. As we saw earlier, he was in P4, he qualified P4. So I don't know if he's on steroids or something, because he's just doing absolutely bossing it in this championship. Which is really annoying as we get a warning there. So you can see you can corner cut around here. Annoyingly, around some corners it doesn't give you a warning for big corner cut, but corners like that, slow speed, it would give you a warning. As you can see again, another track limit warning. So if you get 3, you get a penalty. So now we've got to be super cautious. And you can see by lap times, Vettel has come out behind us, and Raikkonen and Hamilton ahead of us. We just can't compete with them in the dry. I think we're about a second or almost 2 seconds slower than them. That was almost the cut. But see, we're driving very hard to try and create as less disadvantage to Vettel as possible, because it's inevitable that he's going to catch us. But we're just going to try and make it as difficult for him to catch us as possible. And you can see now, I think this is going to be our fastest lap in the dry in this race. And the two ahead of us are just gone. There's no way we can compete with others. We've got a little bit of fuel left, but not too much. Under fuel in the car for the wet, but I didn't realise when it was actually going to dry out. Going for the World Champions, navigating that through nicely. They've done a 13.1, and I think we have done a 14.4, so about 1.3 seconds per lap. So there's no way we're going to be able to catch those guys, as Vettel has now got onto the back of us pretty quickly, as you can see. And now he's going to try and go around the outside of us, but we're going to outbrake him into this because I really wanted to try and get a podium. If I could do that in the dry, considering we did it in the wet last race around Monaco, if we could do it in the dry round here, then that would be definitely my best result of the season if we could do that. And it's looking really good for the championship as well, because I think we're in P7, P8 in the championship. So once we can actually upgrade this car fully, do a lot of practice programs, then I'm really looking forward to what I can do in this. But as Vettel's going around the outside of us once again, just outbraking him, but he kind of bottles turning in. It gives us too much room in the entry, and I think he's lost quite a bit of time. But now Bottas has joined the party as well. He's coming up behind us, and now we've got Vettel doing the same attack once again, going in rich mix to just eke out any extra performance. But we're just going to outbrake him, running 56 brakes, which work really well for me, which I do online as well. And we have still managed to maintain that P3, but I think Bottas and Vettel are now probably going to start squabbling over that position, so this could probably help me out towards the end of the race. But I think it's probably going to be inevitable when they get past me. If they can overtake me in this straight, then it's going to pretty much be game over, as Bottas I think has got ahead of Vettel. So I think he's going to have his turn of trying to get past me. So trying to get a good exit of this slingshot corner, as I described. Trying to do as much engine performance as possible. But Bottas going around the outside, but we've done exactly the same thing. Just about making the corner, making it within the limits of the corner. And I believe he's probably going to have another go again. But Vettel's right behind him. So it seems the AI seems to battle quite a bit going to this corner. You can see a double arrow there. So Vettel's gone down the inside of Bottas, coming off this corner, trying to get really good traction, which we do. You can see the launch we get is a very, very good launch. And you can see now Vettel is going to overtake him once again. I was trying to give Bottas a little bit of slipstream to hopefully make them go side by side to lose some time, but it's not really working out. Navigating the chicane nicely. And now Vettel is going to come under attacking us again. So you can see straight on speed is just nothing compared to the 2017 Ferraris. He's going to go around the outside of us. We're going to leave him a little bit of room. But that is a really nice move. We're going to potentially try and hold it around the outside. But there's nothing we can do. There's too much grip, too much power in that Ferrari, and we can't really challenge it. You can see here, losing a little bit too much time now. There's just nothing we can do, and now we've got to, looks like, just try and fight for this 4th place, because the podium, we can see now, yeah, even if we stay in this DRS, there's going to be no way that we could potentially try and take that position back, because we're coming under attack from Bottas now, so we've got to focus more on behind than we do in front, and just defending us again. And Vettel's probably already out the DRS zone, as Bottas is going to go down our inside. We're going to try and fight this as much as possible, going around the outside, trying to get a really good cutback on this if we can possibly do it. But I think he's going DRS as well, because he was behind us at that DRS point. Let's see what the slipstream is, going to rich mix, see if we can mount any attack on him. But looks like the gap is staying exactly the same despite us having slipstream, but he's got DRS. Let's try and get a good exit of here. We can see just the more grip he's got through here, but still managing to maintain a decent gap to him. But you can see about DRS and that Mercedes power, we're not going to be able to really fight for him in this. So coming through here, let's see if we could get a good exit of this to potentially do anything. But you can see just the traction and just the raw power of that Mercedes. There's nothing we can do, and we're going to come home in P5 in this Grand Prix, which the wet again has really helped us. I think that's a wet race 3 times out of 7 races. 3 times it's been wet, which has definitely helped us out quite a bit. So that is P5 around Montreal here today. A really good result. Picked up quite a lot of resource points, which I'm going to upgrade the efficiency parts first, and then I'm going to do the quality control afterwards. And towards the end of the season, I'm hoping we can really improve the performance. I don't know how much each component, once I do upgrade it, improves it by that much, but we'll be able to see. Maybe for next season we can fight for the title. That'd be amazing. If we could get another podium this season, then that would be a really good result as well. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this series, and I plan to upload another one here tomorrow. I've got AOR, but it should be tomorrow. If it's not, then it will be on Monday. So thank you so much, and catch you next time.